Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my 2026 BookTube Prize Finals TBR video. I am back, baby! The semifinals are over, and now we are in the fourth and the final rounds, the finals. So anyway, to give a little bit of a recap, the BookTube Prize was started by Robert Sheard back in 2019 as a way for the literary bookternet to come together and judge the best in literary fiction and nonfiction published in English in the US the year before. So this year we have been judging 2025 releases. We started way back, well, technically in January when we were debating the long lists and getting them organized, and ultimately we got down to 48 books per division. And then through 4 rounds, we whittle those books until we get to now, basically, into the finals. Well, we're at the beginning of the 4th round. Each division now has 6 books remaining. And at the end of the round, we'll have winners and runners-up. And then that'll be a wrap on another year of the BookTube Prize, and I'm really excited about all of this. I've been an official judge since year 2, and it's been a wonderful way to expand my reading, especially in nonfiction, frankly, and also to have more things to talk about with the broader bookish community on BookTube, as we're, at least for this prize, in large part reading the same books for several months at a time. So yeah, my general thing is that I judge nonfiction for the octafinals and the quarterfinals, which are rounds 1 and 2. Then I take off for the semifinals, and then I come back for the finals, and my goal is to judge fiction. And that's what's going to be happening. But before I get into my preliminary thoughts on my ballot, I do have some stats to share. Let me get out my 2 lists here. These are the lists of the books that were in contention for the long lists that Robert sent us way back in January. And we could vote for up to 20 of these books. There's about 100 or so in both fiction and nonfiction. And we could vote for 20. That then, you know, the ones that are most popular would make it onto the long lists. So coming to nonfiction, I voted for 20 books and 15 made it onto the octafinals list, which felt pretty good. Then moving into the quarterfinals, 7 of those books remained in the running, which also seems pretty good. Moving into the semifinals, we were down to 4 books. And now in the finals, 1 of the books I voted for remains in the running. And that book is Motherland by Julia Yaffe. I'm very excited that this one has, clung on and stood this test of time, particularly, to be honest, because it is Jewish literature, and Jewish literature has been facing some difficult times in the literary world of late. And I myself also highlighted this book in my National Jewish Book Awards post that I did several months ago, so certainly this is incentive beyond all incentive that maybe I should actually get to reading this book ultimately, probably in early 2027, but still. Otherwise, we did lose a few books, along the way, of course. That's how these rounds go, We lost a couple that I read for the octafinals and the quarterfinals, like Is a River Alive, which was about the life of rivers. We lost Jesus Wept, which was about 60 years of papal history. Another book that's no longer in the running is Nobody's Girl by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, which is the one I voted for as number 1 in the quarterfinals. It's a memoir of one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims, perhaps his most famous victim, infamous victim, who actually committed suicide shortly before the book was published. And it's a contentious book, in part because at the time some things came to light about abuse in her marriage that was not at all covered in the book, and her family, I think, had some got very involved with the publisher about how the book would be presented, and the ghostwriter put in aspects about the abuse in a prologue of sorts, and it changed the tone of the story, and it didn't work for some people, although for me it's just something I think that haunted me, and it's probably the book I've thought about the most ever since reading it this year, and I think that it really raised some uncomfortable but important questions about the nature of trauma and of, your personal narrative. But of course, Virginia Giuffre is no longer alive to, tell us what she wants her story to be, but I guess that is what life is to a certain degree. We have the time we have. But anyway, it is no longer in the running. And I didn't read this one, but I am a little disappointed that Jane Austen's bookshelf is no longer in the running, just because I thought that was a bit of geeky fun. So maybe I should try to read that one on my own as well. One book I did read that remains in the running is A Flower Traveled in My Blood by Haley Cohen Gilliland. And this took a deep dive really into the Abuelas de la Plaza in Argentina, the activist group that rose up in the wake of the junta government there disappearing a lot of children and grandchildren of these women. And it was a really powerful book. I think it was meticulously researched and very readable. I certainly would not be surprised if it won the whole shebang. We shall see. Moving on to fiction, 13 of the 20 books I voted for made it into the octafinals. Then moving into the quarterfinals, 7 of those 20 remained, which seemed pretty good. A little less good, I guess, for the semifinals, where 3 out of 20 remained. And finally, going into the finals, only one of the books I voted for to make it onto the long list is still in the running. Maybe someday I'm going to actually get down to 0 books in the finals. I hope not, but this is the lowest it's been so far. Regarding some books that were knocked out of the semifinals, we have The Dream Hotel by Layla Lalami, which was on my mind because I actually heard her speak last year at the National Book Festival. So that's too bad. And then also Woodworking by Emily St. James. That particularly caught my attention in the Goodreads Choice Awards last year as a new piece of literary trans fiction. So I was kind of hoping that would make it to the finals. I'm probably most disappointed about that one not being in, but oh well, I do have 6 books, one of which had caught my fancy and 5 of which are still I relatively don't know very much about. I try to go into these relatively blind in hopes to maybe keep down my bias. But anyway, I do have some preliminary thoughts about the 6 books on my ballot, but before I get to that, I'm just going to go tease you with the covers. Okay, well, one thing I actually do when I am deciding on which books I want to vote for to make it onto the long lists, I do very minimal research on all of the books. I mean, there are like over 200 in all or something like that. And I just do really quick searches on Google to try to get an understanding of what these books might be about. It's questionable how accurate these are. It's definitely not too deep, but it gives me some idea about, what my thoughts are. So I thought I'd just go read through what I wrote down in January for all of these books, and then in 2 months we'll see how accurate I actually was. So for Buckeye by Patrick Ryans, I put on 1940s to 1980s, Secrets Between Couples, and Small Town Life. So this seems like the sort of insular literary fiction that could catch my fancy. Then for Cursed Daughters by Oinacan Braithwaite, I have A Lagos Family and Practical Magic Style Curse. So yeah, I don't know. I might have been too liberal with that interpretation. We'll have to see with that one. Then for Nesting by Roisin O'Donnell, I have A Woman Tries to Leave a Marriage and Start Over. Maybe out of the 3 of them so far, this might be the least interesting to me, although probably just because it's so vague. Once you get to know characters, they become interesting to you. Then we have Stoneyard Devotional by Charlotte Wood. I put Burnt Out Australian Woman and Weird Religious Commune Experiences, which almost reminds me of reading Burnham Wood for the BookTube Prize a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed that book, so this could be a good or bad thing. I have to make sure I keep my biases in check, because just because I'm vaguely reminded of a previous book doesn't mean this book will be like that book, Then we have The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. This is the book it's on my radar the most, although I didn't vote for it, but my mom is reading and enjoying it right now. And I wrote that it's epistolary. It's about a family woman after a car crash, so we'll have to see about that. And finally, the book I actually voted for to make it onto the long list, and it still remains in the running, is The Names by Florence Knapp. And I wrote that this was speculative with 3 possible lives. And it's interesting, I'm trying to remember why I decided to vote for it. And because back in the past, I was very wary about literary fiction writers moving into the speculative space, and I didn't think they often did a really good job in speculative worlds. But it's becoming more and more popular, so maybe I'm more willing to give it a go. So I guess experimentally, maybe I put this on, like maybe I'd like to give this book a go, and now I get to see what I think about it. But in the meantime, I'm going to be zipping my lips because as an official judge, I'm not really allowed to share my thoughts as I actually get to reading these books. I will be teasing them in my upcoming Am reading videos, but that's all you're going to get until October after the winners and runners-up are announced. Crazy to think, but we're probably much closer to that than I believe we are. It's also a reminder that I should get to reading these books ASAP. But anyway, that about covers it for me now. I'm going to leave Goodreads links to all of these books listed down below, as well as the BookTube Prize website. If you'd like more information there, you should check it out and give Robert, our director, all the kudos in the world for, managing over 100 or 200 judges from a lot of continents that have had to be reading these books for the past 8 months. He's the one who really keeps this going, and I'm just so grateful that he's doing this and that I can be a part of it. Anyway, I'll be back on this channel to wrap up my July reading before I get into August reading, so stay tuned for that. And thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time.